Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of the Out for Lunch podcast. I'm your host, grifyn.mcerlean, and I have missed you. It's been a long time since our last episode, but we are back and we are strong. If you've attended either of the SAP Sapphires in Orlando or Barcelona, I hope you had an amazing time. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope it energized your business to succeed in 2024. Two of the biggest topics coming out of Sapphire are artificial intelligence. Of course, you can't have a conversation these days without talking about artificial intelligence. And the other one being Cloud ERP transformation. As you may know by now, we are pushing all the customers to come to the cloud. And you as partners are such a big and critical role in doing so. We understand that it's not an easy decision. It's a big decision to make that may disrupt your business, but we are here to help. And that is what this episode is all about. Today, we're talking about one piece of the pie, a part of the Rise with SAP Migration and Modernization program, specifically the Rise with SAP methodology. We're going to be diving into this structured methodology and how it provides the best practices, related tools, and services that can guide your migration to SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. We speak with two leaders within SAP, Ayrton Batista, leader of the Global Partner Delivery Management Team for Rise with SAP, and Alessandro Sabidussi, head of Global S/4HANA Cloud Partner Solution Adoption. They dive into all the nitty-gritty steps of what this methodology entails and how to get started. So, without further ado, welcome back to the podcast, and let's find out what Ayrton and Alessandro have in coach.
I had, as an Italian, a pretty standard pasta. So pasta with some sauce, tomato sauce.
Okay,
very classic.
Okay, any meat in there? Or are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm not vegetarian, but today no meat. It was just the tomato sauce.
Okay, great. I had a lemon pesto gnocchi yesterday, so I was on the Italian vibe as well. Ayrton, how about yourself?
Well, almost lunch here, so didn't have it yet, but planning to have a nice steak with salad. So simple, but as a Brazilian also, looking for some meat.
Delicious. I love it. Okay, so today, as you know, and I'm hoping all the partners know as well, SAP is making a big push to moving our existing customers to the cloud. And partners could never have been more important in this effort, with partners accounting for almost 90% of all SAP Cloud ERP deployments. And with this, SAP has recently announced the Rise with SAP Migration and Modernization program to really help customers navigate their journey to the cloud. And that's what we want to talk about today. And just there's one piece of that pie that we're going to focus on today, which is the Rise with SAP methodology. And Ayrton, you recently wrote a blog about this. So let's outline kind of everything that you spoke about in that blog. And I think it outlines really the full picture of what we want to capture. So Ayrton, what is the Rise with SAP methodology? How it ties into the overall migration and modernization program?
Yeah, absolutely, Griffin. Look, the Rise with SAP methodology is, in short, a combination of best practices, tools, accelerators that is included in our SAP Activate methodology. So partners, they are pretty much familiar with Activate, and by listening from our partners and from customers over the last 3 years, what we've done is basically to include those best practices and the improved engagement with the customer and the additional tools into the Activate methodology with new activities and new quality gates that are centered around how we run a better and a clean core implementation with our customers, really aiming to get those customers innovation ready in the cloud. So that's really the objective of the methodology. But really important is to explain why we do this now, right, and where we are coming from. So it's not something completely new. We are doing this for years already. But what is different here is, well, we already have thousands of customers live with Rise realizing value. So that's a great success for our customers, for partners, for SAP. But we still have thousands and thousands of existing ERP customers that are with us for many, many years. And those customers, they have really complex IT landscape, and they are a little bit resistant to change. And there's super understandable reasons why they are resisting Griffin. Look, they have created over the years really, complex environments with customizations, where they are basically differentiating the market, or they believe they are differentiating the market. So taking the decision to move to RISE is not a simple decision. If you take when they had their last upgrade, maybe 10, 20 years ago, probably it was a very disruptive process, right? So basically, implementations that used to take years and years to complete and a lot of money being invested. So those customers are basically having two main concerns: how we as SAP, we help them to offset costs, and how we as SAP help them to make this transition to RISE as easy and predictable as possible. And this is where SAP, especially this year with the RISE, with SAP Migration and Modernization program that you mentioned in the introduction, is trying to address those two main concerns. So one, with the new transformation incentive, where we are helping customers to offset costs for their migrations. And the second one, as I was explaining, with the RISE with SAP methodology, which is really aiming to get those customers, through an implementation as smoothly as possible, but also getting them, ready to realize continuous innovation out of the solution. So basically, in short, this is what it is and why we are launching a new or an enhanced methodology for RISE.
Okay, and I like how you put that, because all the talk at SAP and not just SAP but other companies is getting the customer base to the cloud, and because we find it to be a necessity for their survival, for their success, for their growth, and we say it in kind of just you got to do this, just go do it. But like you said, it's a very disruptive action to take within your business, and it can be costly and it can be disruptive, and it kind of changes your whole business model for companies that have, like you said, have these very complex systems that they've curated over 10, 20 years. And now, but the times are changing. But so I'm glad that we're having these incentives and these methodologies and these roadmaps to help them along this path, to make it as easy and smooth and seamless as can be. So I like how you put that. So Alessandro, with the methodology, there's four major components that go into them. So I'm just wondering if you can kind of touch on each of them and give the partners kind of a walkthrough of what this methodology kind of is from a deep dive perspective, what they can actually expect.
Yeah, let me do that. And I think Ayrton has already named one or the other, but let me try to go through all four. So the first one is really the so-called Clean Core Success Plan. So it's basically the SAP Activate methodology that I'm sure our partners know already, are already actively using, which is now enhanced with a series of activities. In some cases, it's just highlighting an activity that was already existing, and all of them are there to guide a customer implementation towards Clean Core, to adhere to Clean Core, to manage that complexity that is also coming from the previous answer from Ayrton. The second one, it's how do we take that guidance to the level where we can really follow our customers and support our partners in that journey. And that's the Clean Core Quality Gates, which are checkpoints. They typically happen at the end of each of the phases in the Activate methodology. And with that checkpoint, with those checkpoints you have there, we have introduced a set of questions that are specific to Clean Core and RISE with SAP methodology. So there are existing questions that are more on the overall implementation, and these ones are very specific to Clean Core. And where do our customers and partners can really document all of that? It's a tool called SAP Cloud ERP, which is also part of the second major component, because it's basically then the system of records of those questions. The third one, it's what do we do with these checkpoints? What do we do with these answers that are provided? And that's the reporting, so that SAP can analyze those answers given at the different checkpoints, at the different quality gates, and look into what kind of answers are there, which activities are done or missing from a Clean Core, from a RISE methodology perspective. And so basically provide a report back to customers and partners where we have the evaluation of what was done, and also a recommendation going forward. And all these recommendations together are then still documented in SAP Cloud ERP. So it becomes not just a system of record for what you have done, but also for the recommendation to come. And you can then have open tasks that can be assigned and then managed over time during the project. Out of these three, obviously, we would like the customers as well as the partner to become familiar with these. And that's why the fourth and last element, it's really the guided onboarding. In that case, it's SAP providing a specific role, the embedded launch advisor, which will be part of the initial phase of the project immediately after the kickoff, and guide the customer, including also the partner, into the first steps that are there to set up everything in the right way and to use the previous three elements throughout the project. This is, for example, the provisioning of the SAP Cloud ERP as a tool. It's included, it's free of charge for all RISE customers, but it needs to be provisioned. And then also creating the Clean Core success plan, creating this set of activities, and conducting the first quality gate. So these activities will hopefully onboard the customer, show the direction. And then here I want to close by saying that there is also a specific call to action that we would like to have for our partners, and that's to help then after that, right? The onboarding will be at the beginning, but you have a full project and maybe with multiple go lives or rollouts. So please help from then on our customers to continue in that path to adhere to Clean Core throughout the project. So guide our customers together after the first quality gate, conducting all the additional quality gates that are coming during the project.
Okay, so the partner and the customer, they really kind of work together this entire time. They get the, like you said, the guided onboarding, which helps them get set up. They get an assigned advisor, you said, to help them be assigned to their certain tasks. And then that goes into their Clean Core success plan, where I think there's over 100 tasks, and that's continually evolving from getting the customer implementation to follow this Clean Core strategy. And then to make sure that they're doing this correctly and kind of on task and on track, there's the Clean Core quality gates, like you said, which is inputted through the SAP Cloud ALM, kind of documenting and reviewing from SAP. And then there's the reporting on all the follow-on activities, so they can see that they're doing them correctly, they're doing them kind of on time. I don't know if is there timings involved with these as well, or is it kind of at their own pace of their own journey?
It's typically a timing that is agreed at the beginning of the project, and then obviously there might be delays or different changes in the plan. But yeah, it's really at the own phase, which is decided typically together with the partner. Let me also add on what you said, that you're right. I mean, it's done together, customers, partners, and also SAP having there also now a role helping the customer and the partner at the beginning. And as you said, it's evolving very quickly, but the good news, I think, is that it's all centrally documented in our Activate methodology in the SAP Cloud LM. So as this evolves, our customers and partners will find all the update continuously in the tools, and they will be able to keep up with the speed of that just using our tools.
Okay, great. Okay, so Ayrton, I want to jump to another side of this, which is there's a couple different components to the entire Rise of SAP Migration and Modernization program. What we've just been speaking about is the methodology portion of it. I just want to touch on one thing really quickly involved with the dollars, because nothing gets people a little bit more excited where they can save some money or get some credits or things like that. So we're going to be touching this on a different episode of Out for Lunch as well. There'll be an entire episode dedicated on this, but I just want to touch on it a little bit while we're here. Ayrton, how does this link with the updated transformation incentive, if you can touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely, Grifyn. It's a good question because, as I said, SAP is acknowledging that those existing customers, they've made a lot of investments in the past. And what we are doing with the transformation incentive is to basically help them to offset some of the costs that they will have in the project. So basically, SAP is investing a lot of money in providing these incentives to customers, and they can always use incentive. And I know that we will have a dedicated episode on this one. They can use incentive with SAP maintenance, for example, SAP subscription or SAP services. So it's really a way to help customers to offset some of the costs. And there is a reason why we call it a transformation incentive. As Alessandro was just describing the methodology, we really want customers to go through this transformation journey with support from our partners, really to get ready to innovate in the cloud. So in order to ensure that the customers are going towards the right direction, we are making a condition in order for the customer to redeem 100% of the incentive, in basically getting the customer to commit to adopt the RISE with SAP methodology. So that will be done through the onboarding session with the customer, where SAP will be helping them to have the Cloud ALM, for example, SAP Cloud ALM activated, and the initial clean core quality gate completed. So this is planned to be part of the condition for the customer to get the incentive. And also there is a second and really important condition, which is the customer selecting a qualified partner. Why we are doing this? We really want, again, customers to go through the journey with a partner that has the capabilities, to drive the customer through that journey. And for our partners, what is important to understand is a qualification is really based on our existing competence framework. So this is there for years already. Partners, they have been investing a lot in creating those capabilities and experience to drive our customers through those migrations and conversions. So I think now is the time really for the effort to pay off, because we are really, asking customers to select a qualified partner in case they want to redeem 100% of the incentive. So that's our response to customers on how we enable and equip the ecosystem to have the right knowledge and experience to help them through the journey, but also for our partners, again, in how, their efforts are getting rewarded, so to say.
Okay, great. So I just have kind of one big question before. I guess I have two more questions. One of them is a big one, and it's focused directly at the partners. And Ayrton, I'll ask you again here. How is this all going to benefit the partners in the long run? I know you just spoke about the updated transformation incentive and selecting the qualified partners and the dollars that they can receive. But how is it going to benefit the partners in the long run? Kind of what is the value proposition here? What's the big selling point for them?
I think it's a question that every partner will be asking themselves, right? And then I see, if you remember what Alessandro was explaining around the methodology, is really a descriptive methodology that will help our partners to consume the latest accelerators, tools, and innovation that we are making available into the methodology. So it's a much more prescriptive way to implement and to run operations for our customers. And we truly believe that if partners, they consistently apply the methodology, they will be basically consuming this innovation coming from SAP. SAP is making a lot of investments into creating new tools using Gen AI, for example, for custom code remediation. So something that our partners will be benefiting, and they don't need to create their own tools. So we know that partners, they tend to, where they see white spaces, to create their own tools. So basically, we are helping them to lower the cost of development and also implementation when they run those projects. So that's the one thing. The second thing that I see is really, and this is by listening from our most strategic partners over the years, there is a big challenge in convincing the customer to maybe, adopt the clean core principles. So as I said, customers, they have been developing those customizations over the years. Sometimes they're really proud of them. So having a business discussion with the customer and having one voice in terms of what is really the North Star, in terms of the right architecture, this is something that we plan to double down with our partners again. So having one voice to the customer, we believe will help our partners also to convince their customers in the journey. So we're not saying that existing customer needs to get 100% of their custom code into, BTP, for example, in day one. It is really a journey, but we want them to understand why this is important as a team. So it's really SAP and partners having one approach with customers. And as example, we are just, about to announce a new recognition for our strategic partners called RISE with SAP Validated Partner, where basically we are not only making sure that our methodologies are aligned, so those partners, they have developed their own methodology over the years, which is great. they have their own IP, own tools, but we are now making sure there is alignment, especially in terms of those clean core quality gates and activities. But also, and most important, great thing is really how we ensure we are aligned in those most strategic customers from a business engagement perspective, having that one view of the customer, what is best for the customer as one team. So SAP and partners working together. And this is the key value proposition of this new recognition that we are announcing now during Sapphire. So this is a great opportunity for our partners to further, differentiate in the market, but at the same time, again, keep this close alignment with SAP in post-sales.
Fantastic. That's a great answer. And I'm glad you brought up the validated partners, because that was a big splash in the information that was told at Sapphire. So that's great. So Alessandro, I guess the one last question for you before we wrap it up here. How do partners know if they're ready to deliver the Rise of SAP methodology? Because I'm sure that it's there's a lot of moving parts to it. And how do they know if they're ready to do that?
Yeah, thank you. I think it will be also important to message this to our listener, to the partner. I would split the answer in two parts, because on one side, we have seen also through the validated partner initiative that there are partners who are actually offering, positioning, deploying clean core since years already. So it's not a new approach for them. And for these type of partners, for the ones out there with already that background, the strong belief in clean core, I would say it's really all around. Look at what we have done recently. Look at this clean core success plan in SAP Activate. You can access it already. Look at the quality gates, the type of questions, and leverage that, because the big advantage for these partners, I believe, is that SAP is now also in this game, is also pushing with you, is also helping you to position it. And you have a great opportunity when you have this discussion, as Ayrton was saying, sometimes not easy with the customers, to also show that SAP has a full focus on this topic as well. And then the second part of my answer is for the other partners that maybe are doing that already, but only partially, only in some areas. Clean core span across 5 different dimensions. So in that area, we have spent the last 2 months with the introduction of the Rise with SAP methodology as this way to group together all this great content, tools, guidance, methodology. We spent a lot of time to try to elaborate on these elements, to deep dive, to show what is new, what are the latest and greatest. We have done it on the Activate with the Clean Core Success Plan, on the Cloud ERP, on how to track the progress, and also around all the different dimensions of Clean Core, so extensibility, integration, processes, data, and operations. For all of them, you will find webinars, you will find deep dive and material. You can consume them in a dedicated landing page in Partner Portal. Will be easy to access, and maybe we can have the link here as part of the podcast as well. And then the other one, it's through your Stay and Get and Stay Certified, especially the Stay Certified campaign. If you are already a certified solution consultant, project manager, or developer, look at these updates. Most of them are based on the Clean Core, on the latest and greatest, and you can consume all of them as part of anyhow an action that you have to do to stay certified.
Okay, great. Ayrton, any final thoughts before we wrap up, and I can deliver the last question to you guys? Any final closing thoughts? Any words of wisdom or action items that partners can do if they want to get involved?
I think just reinforcing what Alessandro just said, getting ready for execution, because as we were explaining, SAP will be executing the methodology initially with customers through onboarding. So it's super, super critical that partners, they consume the enablement and they get their team ready to run those projects following the methodology on the ground. But also back to why we do this. So again, we are really looking into customer success through partner success. So this is really why we do it. We really want to get those customers innovation ready. And this is representing, again, additional benefits and revenue streams for our partners. So really looking forward to how we do this together.
Okay, Great. So partners, you hear that? You are more important than ever. There's clear revenue streams, the convenience to the business user, the customer, as how SAP is helping in every direction. We are backing this 100%. So you get our support in every possible way. Ayrton, Alessandro, thank you. I just have one final question. I know I've probably said it 3 times already in this podcast, but one final one. It's a staple here at the Out for Lunch podcast. If you were to have lunch with any famous person, celebrity, icon, and have a sit down lunch with them for 30 minutes, you can talk about whatever you like, who would you have lunch with? Ayrton, maybe we'll start with you.
This is a good question. If I may select a not living person, that would be Ayrton Senna, who was one of the greatest Formula One drivers ever. And the reason I select him is not only because he was a great driver, but because he was great as a person as well. Mm-hmm. He has a saying that there is no merit in a person, but in a team. And you can think, okay, Formula One is really an individual sport, but that really resonates with what I believe in business as well, Griffin, and what we can achieve with our partners. So teamwork is really, key for success and achieving great results with customers and our partners. So that I would love to have that opportunity.
Yep, that's great. And speaking of F1 has exploded. It may seem like a single person sport with one man or woman just driving the car, but the pit crews and everybody else and the coach involved, the teamwork does make the dream work, as cheesy as that sounds. But is he better than Max Verstappen? Verstappen's up there. He's pretty good. Okay. And Alessandro, what about you?
I was thinking about it. I couldn't come with only one person, so I will say 2, Steve Jobs and Linus Torvalds. The reason why is because I'm really passionate about IT and software, and out of these 2 persons, I think I could discuss 2 different aspects that are really important going forward on what we discussed today. With Linus Torvalds, I think it's this openness and also a collaborative approach that is exactly what we are looking forward to do with our partners and together then with our customers. That's the approach that has been used to develop Linux as an operating system. And with Steve Jobs, this way to really describe things and to make them appear very easy, non-complex, removing all the technicalities and making it something that resonates well with them. And that's also what we need, because we said it during the podcast, sometimes the clean core, it's a sort of technical discussion, or it could seem to be a technical discussion for some of the customers. But in my opinion, we need to remove all this technicality and really do a pitch and then work together with our customer on something that focus on the benefits that they can take out of this clean journey to the clean core. And so I think that would be very inspiring to get some advices from Steve Jobs.
Yeah. And with Steve Jobs, we talk at SAP a lot about, adoption and consumption of our products. And, Steve Jobs definitely nailed those 2 things. Everybody in, North America, at least the iPhone and Apple products are, heavily used all across North America. I know on the, in Europe and other places that, Android is heavy, but Apple's still doing good. Apple's still doing great. So we've definitely adopted and consumed a lot of his products. Very interesting lunches for both of you. But Ayrton and Alessandro, thank you so much. I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Partners, I hope you enjoyed. And Ayrton, I'll put your blog and the RISE playbook in the description as well. So partners, you can access all of that after listening. But thank you so much. Thanks for joining, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this week's episode of the Out for Lunch podcast. And a big thank you to Ayrton and Alessandro for joining me in the diner. If you'd like to learn more about RISE with SAP Migration and Modernization program or the RISE with SAP methodology, I have linked Ayrton's blog in the description below and other related resources. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you guys are feeling energized after SAP Sapphire. Have a good day. And as always, stay hungry for more information.